It's been a wild ride as we've brought you over 250 episodes featuring over 5,000 TeslaCam videos. Buckle up and enjoy this special collection of the most viewed TeslaCam videos we've published so far in 2024. Jason entered an intersection on a green light when another driver ran their red light and T-boned his Tesla at full speed. Jason made sure everyone was okay. Thankfully, there were no serious injuries. The other car was full of distracted teens who all started claiming that Jason had run a red light. The police arrived quickly at the collision scene. Instead of arguing with the teens, Jason showed his TeslaCam footage to the officers and they quickly determined that the other driver was completely at fault. Jason's Model 3 was deemed a total loss, and he's in the process of purchasing another Tesla. Jason also mentioned that, for some reason, the side airbags on the Tesla didn't deploy. He tried reaching out to Tesla, but they said they'd only investigate if he had the car towed to a Tesla service center. His insurance provider towed the car to a junkyard instead, and since he wasn't hurt, he decided not to pursue it any further. He still wonders if the airbags failed or if the car intentionally didn't deploy them. What do you think? Let us know in a comment. Summer was heading to work in the express lane of I-77 in Charlotte, North Carolina when, all of a sudden, she heard tires screeching before a truck swerved into her lane sideways. Summer hit the brakes, but had nowhere to go but straight, colliding directly into the truck's door. Everyone was okay, but Summer told us it happened so fast she didn't even know exactly what had happened. She was incredibly grateful for her TeslaCam footage, which she provided to the responding police and the insurance companies. Summer received a claim notification from the other driver the same day, and a few days later, she was notified that her Tesla had been totaled. Summer told us without a doubt that she'll be buying another Tesla as they're amazing cars with awesome tech. When the light turned green, Glenn started across the intersection. At the same time, a pickup truck pulling a trailer ran the opposing red left turn light from the far right lane. Glenn tried to stop, but the truck and trailer collided with the front of his Tesla Model X. The car shut down after the impact, so Glenn couldn't put the car into drive or reverse to get out of the intersection. Another driver stopped and walked over to Glenn to inform him that he'd caught the whole thing on his dash cam. The guy had been driving behind the truck driver, and when they entered the intersection, the truck driver turned across two lanes to make a left turn against a red light. This is the first time we've had the same incident captured by both a TeslaCam and a dash cam. With all that video evidence, we're sure there was no debating who was at fault. The initial repair estimate was $9,000 US, but after an in-depth inspection, the final assessment came to over $19,000. Glenn is hopeful he'll get the car back this month. Norok was driving his Model S southbound on I-75 in Atlanta, Georgia, when he noticed a red Mitsubishi coming up behind him fast. After coming within inches of Norok's Tesla, the Mitsubishi driver swerved to avoid a collision and lost control. The Mitsubishi driver spun in front of Norok before smashing into a Nissan in the right lane. Both vehicles then crashed into a concrete barrier. Norok stopped and checked on both drivers after the Mitsubishi rolled upside down. Thankfully, both drivers were fine and able to walk away unscathed. The police quickly responded to the scene, and they were thankful when Norok gave them a copy of his TeslaCam footage. Norok told us he's not happy that the collision happened, but he is thankful his own car wasn't involved. Lewis had parked his Model 3 on a New York City street when a crazy crash activated his Sentry mode. The driver of a Toyota evidently thought a school bus was driving too slowly and decided to overtake it. In the process, the Toyota clipped the front end of the bus and flipped onto its roof. What a takedown! By the time Lewis returned to his car, everything had been cleaned up, so he doesn't know anything else about what happened. It's actually kind of difficult to know exactly what caused the collision. It looks like the Toyota crossed a solid line while passing the bus. Then the bus moved to the left and the two vehicles made contact. Either that or the Toyota just got too close to the bus's mirror. Fidel had parked his Tesla on the street while visiting his mother's apartment, where there's usually no off-street parking available. The driver of a Dodge pickup hit Fidel's Model Y from behind before fleeing the scene. Fidel woke up the next morning to find a bunch of notifications on his Tesla app, and when he walked outside to check on his car, he was devastated. He filed a police report, but since the pickup's license plate number isn't visible in the TeslaCam footage, he still hasn't heard anything back. The repairs cost $27,000 and took 2 months to complete. Mike was driving his Tesla Model 3 in Mobile, Alabama when an SUV suddenly darted out in front of him. Mike told us autopilot started braking before he could get his foot on the pedal, but he still T-boned the Toyota, shoving it off the road. The other driver said it was Mike's fault and that he'd failed to stop at a stop sign, but Mike hadn't seen any stop sign. The other driver insisted that he remembered a stop sign being there that Mike should have stopped for. When they walked over to look for it, they discovered it had been taken down. They found the stop sign lying in the grass. This story demonstrates that you should never relax when driving, even on familiar roads. The police were summoned to the scene, and since the stop sign had been lying down on the job, Mike wasn't given a traffic citation. Both parties filed insurance claims, and repairs totaled over $24,000. Leo had just gotten his Model Y and told us it's the first new car he's ever had, and he worked a lot of overtime to be able to afford it. Watch what happened while he was on duty as a firefighter. He was parked in the lot in front of his fire station when a car pulled up and 2 guys jumped out armed with a rock. They threw the rock at the Tesla's window. Thanks to the double pane glass, it didn't break. The rock just bounced off the car, but the alarm was triggered, sending the 2 guys running home to their mommies. Leo's window now has 2 2-inch long cracks in it, so he's filed a police report. Replacing the window will cost $300. Pierre was driving his Model X home after dinner with his wife in Madison, Wisconsin, when they suddenly heard a loud bang to their right. That's when Pierre noticed a car had run into a utility pole. It seems like the driver might have been distracted. Because of where the collision had occurred, they weren't able to go back and see if everyone was okay. Chuck was driving his Model Y when a young boy dashed into the street from between 2 parked cars. The boy crouched down but wasn't hit by Chuck's Tesla. He told us Tesla's amazing technology saved the boy's life. Chuck slammed on the brakes as soon as he saw the boy, but felt the car react and brake before he did, and a hard braking event was recorded. In the left repeater camera, the boy's father can be seen across the street and behind the Tesla. Chuck and his friends stopped and talked with them and made sure everyone was okay. This actually happened on Chuck's birthday. We can only imagine how grateful Chuck was for his Tesla's emergency braking that day. Mala was 6 months pregnant and heading home at 4:30 a.m. after dropping her husband off at the airport. She was waiting at a traffic light less than a mile from her house when her Tesla Model 3 was suddenly rear-ended. Both Mala and her baby were fine. Police and paramedics responded quickly to the scene. Mala was able to show her Tesla cam footage to the responding police officer, demonstrating how the Honda had drifted into her lane, hit the back end of her Tesla at full speed, then flipped over before landing right side up. Mala remembered passing the same Honda when she'd taken the highway exit a couple of minutes prior to the collision when the Honda had stopped right in the middle of the exit. When the Honda sped up and began following her, Mala noticed it swerving in and out of lanes, and she assumed the driver was under the influence. At the time of the collision, the driver behind her was also in a Tesla, and that driver told the police that he'd been following her and also thought she was under the influence. Mala said that when the other driver got out of her vehicle and tried to approach her, Mala definitely thought she was under the influence of something. Her excuse was that she had fallen asleep behind the wheel. Sadly, the police officer took her word for it and not only didn't take Mala's statement, he didn't seem to conduct any investigation at all. The Honda driver walked herself to an ambulance and left the scene. Mala tried to find out why her statement, as well as those of other key witnesses, weren't taken and why no real investigation was conducted. The only answer she got was from another officer, who told her that since there were no fatalities, their policy is to only conduct a DUI investigation if they smell alcohol. Mala's Tesla Model 3 was totaled, and she hadn't even owned it for a full year. I think it's safe to say she'll be buying a new one after this one saved her life and the life of her unborn baby. Sean was sitting at a red light in North Ridgeville, Ohio, when a student truck driver effectively ran him over. The The cops immediately cited the trucker after watching Sean's TeslaCam video at the scene. Though the trucker's insurance provider still hasn't admitted fault, it'll be tough for them to fight the video evidence and the traffic citation for crossing the center line. Sadly, the student trucker had been taking his CDL exam, which he failed. The Tesla, which was valued at $41,000, was totaled. Sean has since taken delivery of a brand new 2023 Model 3 Long Range. Sung had just taken delivery of his brand new Model Y a few days before driving it to work and parking in his usual spot next to the building. Sung told us he's parked in the same spot for the past 5 years without any trouble, but of course, something was bound to happen as soon as he showed up in his dream car. He heard a loud bang while working in the building, then immediately noticed a Sentry Mode notification pop up on his phone. Evidently, an elderly man leaving the parking structure across the street had hit the wrong pedal and smashed his vehicle into the left side of Sung's new Tesla. Nobody was hurt, but Sung's Model Y spent 2 months receiving $37,000 in repairs. Given the extent of the damage, he was surprised the insurance company didn't total the vehicle. Mohammed told us he was driving about 80 miles per hour when he tried to merge into the middle lane to pass a car in front of him. His Tesla began to hydroplane when he drove through some standing water. His Tesla fishtailed and spun 180 degrees before he effectively backed into a semi-truck in the right lane while still going about 80 miles per hour. Neither Mohammed nor the semi-truck driver were harmed in the collision. We're guessing the trucker barely felt the impact, but he still pulled over and stopped. The California Highway Patrol responded to the scene and wrote a report which Mohammed was able to include in his insurance claim. His Model 3 was deemed a total loss by his insurance provider after the repair quote came to $33,000, so they wrote him a check for the value of a new car. William sent us this video from when he was driving his Tesla Model 3 on I-15 in Farmington, Utah. A pickup truck pulling a travel trailer passed him on his left. Suddenly, the truck driver drifted into William's lane, almost hitting the sedan in front of him. The driver jerked back into his own lane, but lost control in the process, causing the trailer to start wobbling. William thinks the driver was distracted or sleepy, and he suspects he wasn't using an equalizer hitch. By the way, here's what you should do if your trailer starts to sway. Take your foot off the accelerator to start slowing down, but don't apply the brakes. Firmly grip the steering wheel, but avoid turning it. Be patient and wait for the sway to subside. We don't know if this driver did any of those things, but whatever they did, things didn't end well for the trailer. William told us it wasn't safe for him to stop, but he immediately called 911 and sent them his TeslaCam footage. Neil was driving his Model 3 down a highway with full self-driving enabled. Traffic was building up, and the Tesla was slowing down to maintain a 3-car length follow distance. All of a sudden, he felt the car applying the brakes on its own and heard a loud beeping before the car suddenly lurched forward. The driver of a Toyota had rear-ended him at full speed. The collision investigation estimated the Toyota's speed was approximately 65 miles per hour at the moment of impact. The Tesla was hit so hard it was shoved forward into the guardrail. No airbags deployed since the impact came from the rear. Neil told us the driver's seat fell back, preventing him from launching forward into the steering wheel. His daughter was in the front passenger seat and she escaped with nothing more than some minor scratches. The Toyota driver was in shock, but thankfully she was uninjured. Sadly, she was also uninsured. Neil filed an insurance claim with his own insurance provider, and he was immediately notified that he was determined not to be at fault after they'd reviewed his TeslaCam video. The Tesla had to be towed to a collision center so it could be evaluated to see if it's totaled. Neil is absolutely sure the Tesla's safety features are the reason why he and his daughter walked away without any serious injuries. If the car is determined to be totaled, he'll be replacing it with another Tesla. Neil wanted to say thanks to the off-duty police officer who stopped and helped them, and to the officer's son, an EMT, who also came by to see if they were injured. Jay was leaving work after a night shift and was bummed that he'd forgotten to leave his Tesla charging. He works at Tesla's Giga Nevada, where they have free Tesla charging, but because he'd forgotten to charge, he ended up leaving about 15 seconds later than usual, since he had to walk to where he'd parked his car. As he was getting on I-80, the Jeep in front of him was cut off by a truck driver who decided to make a U-turn without waiting for a break in traffic. It looks like the Jeep didn't have enough time to brake and ended up T-boning the truck, sending it into a ditch. Though Jay was initially bummed out about not getting his free charge, after seeing the crash right in front of him, he was glad he'd left 15 seconds later because it could have very well been him in the place of that Jeep that morning. Garrick was driving his Model 3 in Sandy Springs, Georgia, when the driver of a white Honda in the left lane tried to avoid a vehicle stopped on the shoulder. In the process, the Honda got pretty close to the blue Dodge in front of Garrick, which prompted the Dodge driver to brake to a complete stop in the middle of the highway. Garrick was forced to stop as well, and after 3 to 4 seconds, his Tesla was Honda bumped at full highway speed. Everyone involved in the accident was okay. The Tesla's safety systems shut it down after the wreck, and it had to be towed away. The Honda driver was found 100% responsible. The Tesla was deemed a total loss after the repair estimate came to $37,000 US. The driver ahead of Hudson braked abruptly, forcing him to do the same. The driver of the minivan behind him didn't. Hudson saw that the minivan was going to rear-end his Tesla in his rearview mirror. Just before the impact, both he and his wife felt the seatbelts tighten. After the impact, the Model 3 applied emergency braking to keep it from hitting the vehicle ahead of it. Everyone involved was able to walk away without any serious injuries. Hudson's wife called the police, and they responded quickly. He showed one officer his Tesla cam footage, and they wrote in the collision report that the minivan driver was at fault after following too closely. Hudson filed an insurance claim the next day, and the insurance provider covered all the damage and provided him with a rental car. The repairs took $10,000 US and 2 months to complete. Hudson told us he's grateful that his Tesla kept him and his wife safe. James had pulled off New Zealand's State Highway 1 to answer a phone call when the driver of a brand new Porsche lost control, hit a ditch, and went airborne before ending up in a field with airbag smoke rising. Several drivers stopped to help. Thankfully, the Porsche driver was able to walk away from the crash without any serious injuries. James, the Porsche driver, and the police reviewed his spectacular Tesla cam footage after the police responded very quickly. The officers appreciated being able to see exactly how the incident had occurred. James later learned that the Porsche was written off, and the driver had been taken to the hospital after all as a precaution. The driver was very fortunate to strike the section of road where there was space to run off. If she'd landed anywhere else, she'd have hit the barrier and bounced back into oncoming traffic. Or maybe she wasn't so lucky. 2 days later, a new highway opened which bypasses this notoriously dangerous section. Sumit was driving his Model Y in Denver, Colorado. He was driving along at the speed limit of 35 miles per hour when he approached an intersection. His traffic light had been green for a full 4 seconds before he entered the intersection and felt a large impact from the side. The driver of a smart car ran their red light and T-boned Sumit's Tesla, sending it crashing into the Subaru on his left. The police responded, and the smart car driver... Wait, is the driver smart or is the car smart? I mean, I guess in either case, the car definitely isn't smart now. Anyway, the driver of the smart car was found 100% responsible for the collision. When Sumit filed an insurance claim, it turned out the owner of the smart car was underinsured. Sumit's Tesla was deemed a total loss, and he's already ordered a brand new Model Y to replace it. I can hear some of you asking, what happens if you get in a collision with a driver who's underinsured? We'll tell you all about it later in the video. Thomas was driving a rented Model X in Houston, Texas, when an elderly driver ran a stop sign and T-boned the Tesla's driver's side. Thomas jumped out and made sure the other driver was fine. Thankfully, nobody had been hurt. All the Tesla's airbags deployed. Thomas told us this is actually his 3rd accident just this year. That might explain why he was driving a rental. Police responded, and they immediately found the other driver at fault. After watching the Tesla cam footage, they said it made their investigation extremely simple by confirming their theory about what had happened. Sadly, the vehicle shut down after they'd viewed the footage, and only the left camera angle was saved to Thomas's hard drive. He hopes to find the other angles stored on the car's computer once it's been repaired. Some people think that rolling a Tesla Model Y is impossible, and we've never seen it happen until now. This Tesla was traveling down I-84 when the driver decided to take an exit. Somehow they missed the sign warning them to slow down and went into a sharp turn way too fast. The The driver lost control and the Model Y went sliding through the grass before hitting a ditch and rolling over. The car was deemed a total loss and sold on an auction website, and that's where our submitter enters the picture. He works at a shipping company that helped a European buyer purchase and ship this Tesla to Eastern Europe. The submitter was able to extract the crash footage from the USB drive that was still in the car, and he also took these pictures. As far as he knows, the occupants of the Tesla weren't harmed in the wreck, but this story has another twist. The buyer in Eastern Europe actually bought more than one Tesla. Our next video shows another Tesla that was also totaled in a wreck. The driver was coming back from skiing and was driving down a mountain when an oncoming car lost control and started swerving before hitting the side of the Tesla. The car was deemed a total loss by the owner's insurance provider, so the car ended up on an auction site before being purchased by the same Eastern European buyer. Once again, our submitter is shipping the car, but this raises a question. Why would a buyer in Europe be after these two wrecked Teslas? We have no idea, so we asked our crash expert Winston if he had any theories regarding the economics of salvaging these two Teslas. Stick around to the end of the video to hear what he told us. Watch what the driver of a Ford F-150 suddenly did while Sampath was driving his Tesla Model 3 in an express lane. The Ford driver didn't notice traffic was slowing down, and in an attempt to avoid rear-ending another Tesla in front of him, he launched into the express lane and right into Sampath's Model 3. Sampath had nowhere to go and was crushed between the pickup truck and the concrete barrier. Thankfully, he was able to regain control and stop safely. Sampath's wife, who was 17 weeks pregnant at the time, was sitting on the passenger side. Thankfully, the Tesla kept both her and their baby completely safe. A police officer was actually a short distance behind them and witnessed the wreck himself. He immediately determined the pickup driver was at fault and helped direct traffic and summon tow trucks to the scene. The Model 3 was deemed a total loss, and Sampath immediately ordered a Tesla Model Y to replace it. Andy was stopping at a red light to make a U-turn after missing his exit when he noticed a red Model 3 pulling up next to him and a white Model 3 stopping behind it. Just as Andy glanced over at the driver of the red Tesla, he felt a large impact as his Tesla was shoved into it. The driver of a Kia Soul ran a red light, crashing into a Prius before striking Andy's Model 3. It then hit the red Tesla, so only one Tesla at that intersection escaped unscathed. The drivers all got out to assess the damage. They were all okay except for Andy, who began to experience neck pain. All the cars were also still drivable, except for Andy's, which had to be towed. The story only gets worse from here. Andy and the other Tesla driver both have the same insurance provider, but the Kia driver only had $25,000 in coverage. And Andy was worried that might not be enough to pay the combined repair costs. He was concerned he might have to file a claim with his own insurance provider to cover the difference. Thankfully, the other driver's insurance provider informed him that there shouldn't be any problem, as the initial repair estimate came to only $8,000. All good, right? Later that night, Andy got a phone notification that Sentry Mode had been activated. Look what he discovered when he opened the live view. Andy feared the dated estimate shot up to $39,000. Are a total loss. Just to add insult to injury, Andy was rear-ended just 5 days later while driving his other car, which made his neck pain much worse. Andy has hired an attorney and is hoping to receive compensation for his mounting medical bills. He can't help but think that if he hadn't missed his exit, none of this would have happened. Adam and his son were driving down a residential street in Napa, California when the driver of a pickup truck ran a stop sign and T-boned the driver's door of their Tesla Model 3. The impact was so powerful it pushed the Tesla into two utility poles on the right side, one of which couldn't withstand the impact. The left repeater camera stopped working at the moment of impact and doesn't show much, but we also have the footage from the left pillar camera and it shows everything. This is the first time we've ever shown video from a pillar camera on our channel, and that's because it isn't a normal part of the Tesla Cam feature. Along with the wide forward camera, the pillar cameras are normally only used for autopilot and safety features. But in the event of an accident, and if you've enabled the right settings, your Tesla will save the footage from those cameras too. In the state of California, and nowhere else as far as we know, Tesla will provide you with these recordings if you request them, which Adam did. Since all the doors were damaged, Adam and his son could only get out by climbing through one of the windows. While doing so, the driver who'd run the stop sign claimed that Adam took him out. Adam said the guy didn't ask if they were okay or even try to help them at all. Bystanders even told the guy to calm down because he wouldn't stop yelling. Police and firefighters responded, and Adam and his son were checked for injuries. Incredibly, they were perfectly fine. The other driver kept insisting that he'd stopped, but the police took Adam's side after seeing the video. Adam's wife works for the city. When he called her, she was too stressed to drive to the accident scene herself, so the city manager gave her a ride. Little did she know, the city manager was the former chief of police. When he arrived, the cops and firefighters started Tesla Insurance for sorting everything out in a timely manner. The Tesla was deemed a total loss, and 2 weeks later, Adam has already taken delivery of a new Model 3. Benji was on his way to a car meet in his Tesla Model 3. He was in the leftmost lane when a 1999 Buick Regal came speeding up and passed him on the shoulder. The Buick broke the side view mirror and scraped the driver's side of the Tesla. Benji suspected the driver wouldn't be stopping, so he started pursuing him to get his license plate number and in the hopes that he might choose to pull over. What followed was one of the craziest car chases we've ever seen. Let's start the crash counter. Benji and the Buick sped down the highway on the shoulder, and their speeds kept getting higher and higher while the shoulder kept getting narrower and narrower. The Buick scraped the side of a pickup truck before sideswiping two SUVs. By this point, Benji was literally driving with two wheels on the center barrier. After making contact with the two SUVs, the Buick driver dove into the heavy traffic and started zigzagging between vehicles. The Buick then hit a Jeep before Benji lost control and crashed into a pickup truck and a Chevy Sonic. The impact put his Tesla into limp mode, forcing him to pull over. The chase was over and the Buick driver had gotten away, leaving Benji facing a bunch of angry drivers. Police arrived and began questioning Benji about what had happened. He told us that after he showed them this Tesla Cam footage, they decided he was in the wrong and he was cited for careless driving. 2 weeks later, after straightening everything out with his insurance provider, they sent an insurance adjuster to determine that the damage to his Tesla would cost over $21,000 to repair. This was the first time Jeff's wife ever drove their Tesla, and it was also the last time, as you're about to watch it get totaled. Rain was pouring down when she lost control and started hydroplaning. She tried to correct, but it was no use, and the ended up in a ditch. They'd sold her Prius only 2 days prior in anticipation of the delivery of a brand new one, and she'd hopped into their Tesla to run a quick errand. After 2 months in the shop, their insurance provider determined the car was a total loss. Insurance paid out $45,000, and Jeff replaced it with a Performance Model 3 with full self-driving just a couple of weeks ago. We told Jeff we hope his wife won't be totally afraid to drive the new Tesla after that wreck. which could have ended up much worse if the car had gone into oncoming lanes. Sadly, Jeff told us she won't be driving it. After discussing it with her, he thinks she might have caused the car to lose control after fighting against the lane assist feature, which she wasn't used to. She might have thought the car was losing control and steered against it, inadvertently breaking traction, but it's hard to know for sure.